Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Francisco here, catching you guys with another episode of Sports Goofs, episode 8, including my good friends Andrew and Charles. Say hello, guys.
Hi, everybody.
You can go first, Charles.
Got you to it.
That was very, very coordinated, guys. Thank you.
I'm just going to warn everybody in advance who's watching. All three of us are in different locations, so we're going to probably have a lot of overlap.
That's because I'm actually contagious right now. I'm sick, so I didn't want to get anybody else sick. And Charles is about 100 miles away, just to avoid getting sick.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of games out on tap for today. I've counted about 95 just across the NHL, NBA, men's and women's basketball, and the G League, if you're into that. The AHL's not playing today because I think they play every other day. Their schedule's kind of weird. And then there might be some college hockey or something going on. But lots of stuff happened over the past week since our last episode. College football playoff is set. Bowl games are set. Urban Meyer is running away again. The NFL... He's retiring, but we'll just say he's trying to avoid legal troubles, like he did at UF. And anytime I can knock you off, I'll do it. NFL, Mike McCarthy is gone from Green Bay. Kareem Hunt was a thing, and the Dolphins are still terrible, even though they won their game. Fred Hoiberg out in the NBA was fired by the Bulls. The NHL, Seattle is in. Their 32nd team is set. And the Seattle Mariners out in baseball have decided to blow it all up. So lots of things happened. And we have our usual segments, word from our non-sponsors, players we forgot that we remember. And actually, a topic that I wanted to get personally from you guys that we didn't talk about last time was the sporting event that made us most angry as a fan. Okay? So just, start thinking about it. I think Charles already told me what his is, and then we'll get to it somewhere along the segment. But I think I want to start with the National Hockey League having its 32nd team. It was announced today. Seattle, by far, has blown away the NHL with their expansion bid. They got all the season ticket deposits. And they're going to use I don't know if it's still called the Key Arena, but the former home of the Supersonics is getting renovated to basically be a brand new building in a sense. So that's where they will be playing. And the idea as well for Seattle is that it'll lure the NBA back to Seattle. So maybe the NBA expands. So I don't know. Who wants to go first? Their thoughts on Seattle?
I guess I'll begin. It was pretty much inevitable. This was no surprise. I think pretty much everyone saw this coming. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, Seattle's been really, really pushing this.
And, I mean, normally I'd say, what's the point of having two pro teams in the same sport in the same city, because Seattle already has the Thunderhawks of the CHL, I believe, and I figured why have two, but there are a lot of cities in the NHL for some reason that have multiple teams. You've got Winnipeg, which has the Jets and also the Manitoba Moose. You have Toronto with the Maple Leafs and the Marlies. So
yeah, even San Jose has an AHL team playing in the same arena.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. San Jose and Winnipeg both have their minor league affiliates playing in their arena. So
hey, Mikey.
What's up, Mike?
We're not playing tonight actually because Mr. Francisco here is sick.
I am contagious, but I've got the game on actually. So I don't want to watch the Gators. So let's pick some teams here. This is actually College Football USA 97 for the Sega Genesis. It also released on the Super Nintendo. So we actually can look at some old logos here, pixel art.
And that was just a shout out to one of our followers on our Discord who suggested this game to
and
us.
on
so
Twitch.
Thank you to them.
Yep. So let's see. Random teams, guys. Who do you want? Notre Dame. They're in the playoff.
Obviously, I would say go for UCF, but
are they in this game?
Probably.
Let's see. UCF. You guys are not in the playoff, but we'll get to that later. Let's see. We've got there they are. They're right there. Okay. And just for Charles, we'll get the good old U for him.
You treat me so well.
Yeah. So 60 minutes. We'll put them out in the rain. And that's it. So we'll have that game running in the background. All right. Sorry, Andrew, for interrupting you, but you can keep going.
It's all right. I mean, I'm glad to see it. I mean, Seattle is one of my favorite cities. I have family lives out there, and I've been there once. And it's a great city, personally. I like it. So it's nice to have a team out there. And I know the guy from Aesthetics, which is... Do you guys know that site?
Yeah. Well, I do.
Right. Aesthetics is it's a play on aesthetics, and it's kind of all things NHL uniforms. And I know the guy who runs that, I'm pretty sure he lives out in Seattle, even though that he's a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, so I'm sure he'll be happy to have a team out there. But, I mean, I don't think they'll be the 32nd team for long. I mean, I'll go back to the idea that you've had for a long time, Francisco, that at least two of the teams should merge.
Yeah, it's kind of an idea. I know a lot of Panthers fans don't agree with me on it, but it's my opinion for making the franchise strong and also the NHL strong. My proposal, and I'll just lay it out here because I was going to do a separate video on it, but I'll just put it out here, is to merge the Florida Panthers with the Arizona Coyotes. What would essentially happen is that it'll be just like when the NHL merged the Cleveland Barons with the Minnesota North Stars. Yes, you'll lose. I think they lost Cleveland as the franchise, but you'll strengthen another one, which was Minnesota. Because of that merger, the North Stars, even though they later moved to Dallas, they at least got another 12 years of life to that franchise, which allowed them to at least make 2 more Stanley Cup appearances, or their only 2 Stanley Cup appearances. And because of the fact that they merged, it infused that Minnesota franchise with really good players that it led them to their first Stanley Cup berth. So I would say the same thing would happen with the Panthers. You would have a very generous merger draft where the Panthers would grab the best of their current roster along with the Coyotes roster. So they'll be getting Oliver Ekman-Larsson. They'll get Ranta as a goaltender, and they'll just have this hybrid super team in a sense. It would create a super team because there's a lot of talent on both squads. It allowed them to cut the fat from their lesser players who would get drafted, who would be dispersed among the other now 31 NHL teams. So that would erase Arizona.
Which is unfortunate because I know some people may not agree with me, but I love their original Kachina logos.
Yeah, but it's still they're still kind of literally in the desert trying to find a new arena deal or something like that. Out in Phoenix, maybe they'll share with the Suns. If they get that done, it'll save the franchise. At least if they can build a new arena in Phoenix with the Suns.
If I can interject really quick.
Or Arizona State.
I don't know what the coach of Miami was thinking, but he attempted looks like I think about a 50-yard field goal, over 50 yards. I don't know what they were thinking.
It might be Mark Richt.
Possibly.
He has no confidence in his quarterbacks. And then back to it. So Arizona's has been weak for a while. So have the Panthers. It would actually benefit the NHL having a strong South Florida franchise. South Florida is still, I think, technically a bigger market than the Arizona market. And it would open up another slot for one more expansion team, which could go to most likely a Western team because Arizona would be gone. And that would probably open up to Houston because the Houston Rockets owner owns at least or has control of the Toyota Center out there. And he's already willing to write the check to have a franchise out in Houston. Now, another thing that happened with this expansion is that the Coyotes, once Seattle comes in, the Coyotes will move from the Pacific Division out to the Central Division, which would create 4 divisions in the NHL with 8 teams each. The Coyotes will play with the Blackhawks and the Predators, but Phoenix is all the way, or really Glendale, is all the way out west, not Pacific time because Arizona has that weird, they don't follow daylight savings time thing. But what would happen is it's perfect for if the Coyotes do fail, the Houston owner could probably purchase them and relocate them to Houston. It'll be right in the Central Division. They'll have a natural rival with the Dallas Stars. And the NHL will be like, all right, cool. We solved that issue. And then the Panthers will be still weak. And unfortunately, it would still open up a spot. Let's say if the Panthers really do fail, can move up to Quebec. And it's still aligned well for time zone stuff. So
I'd love to see the NHL go back to Quebec City.
But hopefully they don't, and not at the expense of Florida. I don't know, Charles, I know you're not a big hockey guy. You're kind of more sitting back from this, but...
Well, I mean, I'll just kind of interplay a little bit to the idea of the merger. If it's best for the league, then it's best for business. And that's the mantra that I think you get out of a lot of modern day leagues. I mean, the NBA kind of did it with the politics behind the Seattle Supersonics. That's how we got to Oklahoma. You've seen it happen on the little things, such as the Houston Astros were a National League team that got sent to the American League because of strength of competition and realignment. And it could help out. I mean, the merger itself isn't a bad idea, but can you find a deal that works for both owners and both cities? I mean, someone's going to lose out. It would benefit the Panthers the most.
That is the issue. You make a good point.
And because here's the thing, you're talking about marketability, you're talking about merchantability. You look at the Supersonics, when they left to Oklahoma, they still had KD. They got Russ. It was easy to create that new city because you could at least have the market that came to it. So you were going to get some revenue in there. Mergers help out, but the way of the future, I guess, is the expansions. Going into that, this is a good opportunity for Seattle. One, to kind of put eyes back on them as they're looking as a city, and then, say Washington, looking to bring back the Supersonics, come home, whatever the way they can. And then two, they have a longevity with the Seahawks, but how long is that going to last? So to bring in a new exciting team in hockey, which in that region I'm sure would succeed, as opposed to the downfalls that happen in Florida or Arizona. And then more importantly, you look at the success of the Golden Knights, which may have been one-hit wonders. I know they're not doing that well now, but look how far they went. That's going to get a lot of new people in Vegas to kind of say, hey, we have a sport to get behind on. That creates a lot of seats to be filled with people, and then the merchandise.
Right.
So looking at it from a business standpoint, the idea of expansion, not bad. Plus 32 teams. Hey, guess what that means? 16 on the West, 16 on the East. Let's do it. It'll probably be best for hockey.
Do you think, speaking about the Supersonics, do you think, because this whole thing with the Seattle NHL thing actually rolls into the NBA, because now does that allow the NBA to look at it and be like, okay, we can expand, like the NHL's expanded to 32, just like, the NFL's been 32 for a while. Do you think the NBA is going to be starting to look at, hey, maybe we can add 2 more teams too?
I think this is the hottest time to be a basketball fan or a businessman in basketball, and it's because now you're getting more competition. The last 4 or 5 years, we've had the 2 super teams in Cleveland and the Golden State Warriors. Now the contracts are coming up, so it brings back that parity. So the idea is more teams, more money, more advertisement, let's do it. Where they do it is a difficult question. I think one of the suggestions people might make would be, they might see like the big metropolitan areas. Don't be surprised if you get New York gets a name in there, because God knows there's the few states that have like 3 teams for every sport to add on. Because you have the Nets and you have the Knicks. Why not add the Buffalo, whatever, right?
Right.
But I can see them because plus you have to think you have new commissioners coming in. You got Adam Silver. David Stern had the ship for a long time. He's caring about the marketability. He wants his players to go there. It depends on the CBA, so it gets a little complicated, but I think they want to sink their teeth in it. And then, of course, the Supersonics have some legacy. Let me give you an example why they'd be looking for it. Look at what happened with the Charlotte Hornets. Once the name came up, Jordan's like, we're bringing this back. When they used to be the Charlotte Bobcats, they were atrocious. It was a dumb name to begin with, so maybe that reflective of the organization of the record. But, when they had the opportunity, you get the nostalgia, you get the people back. And then the New Orleans Pelicans, because they had a good owner in Tom Benson, and Mickey Loomis overseeing that ship, was able to right the ship. They had a couple star players. And here's the truth, too. I think you have a big chance to succeed if you're expanding for the basketball teams. Why? Because there is talent to build on in free agency and in the draft. So I think it will be a much faster process compared to the Houston Texans when they first came out, and it was just David Carr getting sacked every game and destroyed, and they were behind the franchise for 10 years until you got the Gary Kubiaks and the Bill O'Briens to help lead them to the playoffs.
Right. And look at Houston. Well, it took a while for Houston. They're actually awesome this year, finally. Okay, so that's the NBA. I think it's great for the NBA. A homecoming to Seattle would be great. They're going to probably do the same thing they did with Charlotte with the whole history thing where they were the Hornets and then they became the Bobcats, and then a quote-unquote expansion franchise happened out in freaking New Orleans that was also called the Hornets, and then they became the Pelicans, and then the Hornets kind of, we're going to be the Bobcats and no more, and we're going to have all the history from back then. I think the NBA will do the same thing with Seattle, and they'll fix that whole thing with Oklahoma City, give them some draft picks or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, 32 teams in Major League Baseball, because Major League Baseball is 30 teams right now. We know Montreal is probably vying for a team, but I don't even know what the other city would be in baseball. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on that?
If you're gonna expand, you make it even, right? It's more logical, in my opinion, than just kind of building it year by year. Montreal Expos is definitely something that's wanted, but so you kind of have to look at the places they're going to bring in. I mean, Jersey itself, tiny state, might not bring in everything, but remember, they might be looking for something because they were the New Jersey Nets for the longest time, and then once they went over to Brooklyn, they lost out on every kind of sports venue they have there. So maybe that's a place to come with. Maybe you don't want an East Coast thing, you want a West Coast thing, but I don't really want to see the Montana, Metropolitan killing it over there.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the second city, I can see Montreal because it goes back to what we kind of talked about Supersonics. It has at least a history to build in there. But yet you look at the same way it goes with the Nationals. The Nationals were the Montreal Expos beforehand, but it's not like the Washington Nationals were this big name for years. If memory serves me right, they weren't around till like the 50s, and then everything kind of changed.
Yeah, the Senators were a pretty terrible franchise. They won one World Series, but for the most part, Washington was first in war, first in peace, last in the American League. That's what the mantra was for that franchise before. But I guess I could Montreal definitely as a 31st team, but 32nd team, I don't know if their MLB is ready for Mexico. No. I don't think Mexico is ready for that.
I mean, if anything, go for another in Canada. I mean, you got Toronto, you got Montreal.
I would say Vancouver just to give Seattle a natural rival. But actually, we can segue into Seattle. That was the other. So let's close out. Seattle, good idea. Lots of money out there. The alignment, I can see it makes sense, especially as a backup plan for, let's say, Arizona doesn't work out, to put the team in Houston. NHL is going to keep making money. If the Seattle team gets the same rules as far as the expansion draft that the Vegas
will.
Yeah.
That's already, I think,
that's confirmed.
Bettman already announced that.
Okay, so they'll have the same thing as the Golden Knights did. So Seattle will at least have at the very least, a decent team to watch, because I can hardly fathom that we'll get another first-year team that's going to go all the way to the final. I think that was kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime thing, but who knows?
Well, it's like a gold rush.
But good idea, NHL. It's a natural rival for the Vancouver Canucks. Good thing that they're in the Pacific Division with all those California teams. They'll create natural rivalries just like the Seahawks have with the 49ers, just like the Mariners have with like the Angels and the A's. So good job, NHL. So segue, we're talking about Seattle. We'll go into baseball. I know there's a lot of football stuff happening. We're talking about the NHL and baseball, but the Seattle Mariners decided that, you know what, it's time to blow it up. After they currently are, I think, the team with the longest playoff drought in North American sports among the Big Four franchises, Big Four sports. So, and that's not going to end anytime soon right now. Gosh, Robinson Cano is now out in New York with the Mets, not the Yankees, and they already introduced him, and it looks like the Mariners not done with their moves. Any thoughts, guys?
I'll start it off. I mean, it was expected, because the problem was that the Seattle Mariners, they weren't bad in the AL. They went 89-73.
It was actually their best season in a while.
Yeah, the problem, and they suffered, because they went through multiple managers. A lot of players kind of came and went. The only thing that was consistent there was Felix Hernandez, and he's on the decline.
Yeah.
They picked up Robbie Cano from us, years ago, because
us being the Yankees, right?
The Yankees.
Charles, the Yankees fans, everybody.
Hate me now, love me later. They had the opportunity, but the problem is, you had such a good success, because I would think being, 89-73, a good success, and not even come close to the wild card, it was logical. They're going to want to shed some money, sending out Cano frees you some money. You're going to get some prospects back. No, everybody knows that this is not going to be a win for Seattle, but it's an inevitability, and you have to. That's baseball, right?
Yeah.
You try to, for certain things, unless you're the big name markets, if you're the Bostons, if you're the Yankees, even if you're the Dodgers, you're trying to collect through free agency, and then, maybe some minimal trades for teams that are desperate, that are trying to get that 2-3 year success out of star players. And when they can't do it, they can't re-sign. But I'll tell you now, this won't be the first of many trades, or this will be the first of many trades that come in. Don't be surprised if, Felix Hernandez is going to be gone too. And like I said, it's just inevitability. They had a good score, or they had a good record, but can they improve on this? No, because the level of competition is just too high.
Right.
And
especially in the AL West.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. The Yankees, with the first wild card spot, was 100 wins, 62 losses. The Athletics were 97-65. You couldn't come in within 8 of those games to win, and it's just done.
I mean, look what happened to the Rays. They had a plus 90 win season, and they still weren't even close to being in the wild card spot.
Yeah.
But then again, the AL East is absolutely stacked right now, which means basically both your wild cards are going to go to the AL East, and or at least one of them. So it's really just one spot for the remaining 3 divisions, and the West is really strong right now with the Astros and with the Angels,
and the Oakland A's with Moneyball.
Exactly.
Actually, the A's were the team that came out of nowhere for everyone. It was another one of those Moneyball years where just everything, Billy Beane made everything work out again. And the Mariners were the team that got screwed in the end for that one, because had the A's not been so awesome, they would have had that second wild card spot, and they would have had their playoff drought ended, and most likely they probably wouldn't be blowing this team up. They probably would have been more encouraged to, hey, we're not that far away from competing with these guys. But the other point, I mean, the Mariners are in a different way doing what the Marlins and what other teams are doing too, is just blowing it all up. Because from what I've seen and what I've read, the Mariners have a pretty paltry farm system. So they have no depth whatsoever. A guy goes down and they're screwed, and it basically happened this season. They were screwed if any of their star players or especially their starting pitching went down. So it creates the only way they could make the playoffs or even try to make noise is if everything had to fall into place, like all the stars aligned. And it hasn't since 2001 for the Mariners, and this is the best year that they've had so far. And it's funny, the best year that they've had with more playoff spots open, and they still couldn't get in. And now they're just like, all right, we're just going to blow it up. I know the Mariners were sold to a new owner. Nintendo doesn't own them anymore, so maybe he wants to kind of end that era of Mariners baseball under that old regime. So I'm glad I'm no longer paying for their contracts anymore. Even though Nintendo still owns, like, as a minority owner of the Mariners team, but that's an aside. It's gonna suck for Seattle, but they're in the same position as the Marlins. The Marlins have the second longest drought in North American sports, so I feel for them right now. I really do. They're gonna suck for a while, just as the Marlins, and it's funny that it's the Mariners that this is happening to. Two teams that start with Mar, two teams that had Ichiro at the end of his career, and it's all falling apart again. But hopefully in 4 to 5 years, this will all work out for them. And we'll see the Seattle Mariners versus the Miami Marlins in the World Series in 2025. Gosh. All right.
As long as the Mariners don't change their color scheme and logo, I'll be fine with that.
Actually, I like both of their color schemes, the blue and yellow scheme and their emerald and aqua scheme.
I prefer that one personally, but
either way, they've had some good looks over the years.
Absolutely.
The Yankees are making moves, and they're gonna sign that guy. Who's the top pitcher? That one guy. That's
Corbin.
Yeah, there he is. That's him.
But he signed with Washington, I believe.
He just did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Never mind.
Washington now has 3 pitchers that are over $100 million in their entire contract. Matt Scherzer being one of them, rightfully so. They have Corbin. I'll bring it up now. He has 6 years, $140 million deal, which is interesting because you thought they were going to kind of implode a little bit based on how their season went. But they have him, and I still think they have Steven Strasburg. They have to worry about Bryce Harper. So I wonder if this is anticipation of Harper leaving.
Or it might be a way to entice him to stay. Like, hey, look at the moves we're making. Maybe. I mean, here's the thing. Are you going to convince me? Bryce Harper will probably want to stay more to have a manager that actually knows how to manage the game. I know he wasn't happy with Dusty Baker, getting fired, rightfully so, because Baker, put them far not into the playoffs, but they made him a consistent team. If you're going to give me a guy that you're going to pay a whole lot of money for to show up every 5 starts, that might not seem to me that you're actually going to try to make our team better. Maybe getting another bat, a couple other guys to kind of help him out instead of putting the pressure on his shoulders. But regardless, it's a good pickup for the Nationals because they're basically not waving the white flag that many people thought was going to happen. We wanted him, but, the Yankees wanted him, but sometimes you lose out, and that happens. And, yeah, the Yankees will be fine. All right. So that's our baseball talk. Still, that's a big thing happening before the winter meetings. The Marlins, I know, they offered 2 contracts to JT Realmuto, 2 offers, and they lowballed him. I don't know why they lowballed him, but they did. And JT Realmuto, his representation were just like, yeah, forget it, guys. No, we want out out of
How much
Miami.
longer is he under contract for?
Gosh, I forgot. I think he still has like. Somebody look it up. I think maybe like
I'm on it.
2 or 3 seasons more. I don't know. It's something like that.
Then they don't have a position of power. I get it, but he's going to show up to work regardless.
But the thing is, I mean, the Marlins are in this rebuild, and his value is high right now.
He becomes a free agent in 2021.
So 2 more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I was close. I think the current 2 best offers right now are from the Atlanta Braves, who are offering their top prospect, their top third base prospect, and the Colorado Rockies. I don't know what they're offering. Obviously, I want the Marlins to pull the trigger and make a deal, because there's no use having one of the best catchers in the league and hoping that in 2 or 3 years that the Marlins will be good. I don't think the Marlins will be good enough in 2 years to justify having Real Muto on the squad. I don't think this rebuild is going to be that fast. I don't know what Jeter's thinking, but it's not going to be that fast. It wasn't that fast for the Houston Astros, and it wasn't that fast for the Chicago Cubs. So the Marlins are. My hopes for the season are maybe a 5-game improvement from this season, but I don't see the Marlins making that huge of a stride unless they really do hit on a future superstar. But that's not going to happen right now as I see it. So trade Real Muto while he still has this super high value, and before you start the season and he has the possibility of getting hurt, because it only takes 1 game. And and Jeter's got to pull the trigger while he's got a shot.
Let me ask you this, because I guess I got to play devil's advocate. How are you supposed to lure these big fish, no pun intended, to Miami if you're not going to have a cheaper salary, I guess, because Real Muto is under contract that's not exorbitant. And then 2, you're not going to at least tell these free agents, hey, we're going to pair you with a young stud talent, and maybe this will trade his mind. I understand that the idea is, 5 years will be good. But the problem is if you're continually throwing guys away because you're under duress, prospects are prospects, and that's the problem.
Well, I mean, the idea is that Real Muto's not a prospect. He's a guy who's in his prime. So, and he's I guess he's that last piece of that past Loria era, if you will, that we just need to send him off on his way. He'll win another MVP and we'll suck. We'll have another MVP gone away maybe, and the Marlins will suck. But I want a clean break. Let Real Muto go. He doesn't want to be here. It's good to have, and the idea is not to have that sort of perpetual revolving door of okay, like the Pirates and the Royals used to do a lot. The guy becomes good and we'll ship him off. We can't afford him. The idea is to do what Chicago and Houston did: is they get good and we sign them. What Tampa usually does, we sign them to a good contract while they're ascending, while they're trending up, but not at that prime. So we keep them relatively cheap, and their value will go up, and then we'll work it from there. I think that's how the Marlins would do it, but unless they get like a big money guy to come in and purchase the team. But the Marlins aren't going to be a free agent destination until those prospects become really good, and they can't give up on them, and they can't trade them away, or also just have this revolving door, just like the Pirates for so long and the Royals for so long. The idea, and the Marlins have done it twice before with their World Series championships, but the idea is to keep the guys afterwards. Like Houston, like Chicago, maybe like the Braves now, who knows? Like the Yankees right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, don't realize that this Yankee squad is their players that they developed. These aren't like huge. Now they're in a position to make those big giant free agent signings, but their guys are homegrown guys.
We had a small relaunch, but the idea is that we still took those prospects to get a Giancarlo Stanton, to get the guys, Aroldis Chapman. Look how we got him back. That was a good hand. I mean, we traded away to get prospects, and we knew we were getting back. we got lucky. That's the motto. If everybody followed through, there'd be a lot of like even playing field. Hopefully not. I like having the upper advantage. That's my thoughts on that.
Okay. All right, so I think we should move away from baseball now. It's all just speculation at this point until we get to actual games out in April. We've got a lot of football stuff to talk about. So let's get into the fun stuff. Bowl games. I've got a list of bowl games here that are happening in the state of Florida because all of us are in Florida right now in various locations in Florida, but we are in Florida. So I just want to go through these things. First, we'll start with the Miami Hurricanes, even though this isn't in Florida. This is what I call the Charles Bowl. It's the Miami Hurricanes and a rematch of last year's Orange Bowl against Wisconsin, the Badgers, or maybe what you could call this the Professor Roman Bowl.
Him and I are going to get into war.
Well, just to kind of read everybody into this, Professor Roman was one of the law professors at our alma mater, FIU Law,
and he taught torts.
Right.
I don't know anything about torts. All I know is that there's a circle, and at the center of the circle is love.
Risk and fluctuation or causation. What was it that he used to say? We'll think about it on a different time. But continue, Francisco.
Yeah, that's so much for my education. They're playing in the Pinstripe Bowl out in Yankee Stadium, so that's why I call it the Charles Bowl. It's his favorite team's home park with his favorite college team playing at it. They got what they wanted. They got into a higher profile bowl game out in New York City. So that's good for their program. I'm sure they're excited about that. We've got the Boca Raton Bowl out in FAU Stadium. We've got the Northern Illinois University. What are they? The Wolves or the Wolfpack? Huskies. Oh yeah. Versus the UAB, University of Alabama Birmingham Blazers.
Just a quick side note. I am so happy that they're getting into a bowl game.
UAB?
Do you guys know what happened a couple of years ago to them?
They closed their program, right? Their football program. Right?
I wouldn't say closed. I would say...
They went on a break?
They were forced to close. It's not... They didn't close of their own volition. The Board of Trustees for the University of Alabama system, which has a ton of Alabama at Tuscaloosa members on it, basically forced them to close, and there was such an uproar and such a coming back of
I love hold on, sorry, Flimicon's comment, know the difference between wolves and huskies, it could save your life.
That is true.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I got you off your point, dude. But UAB, yeah.
They were shafted basically by the Board of Trustees, and they've come back. This is their second season back, and not only are they going to this bowl game, they won the Conference USA, and they had a 10-win season. So that is just fantastic.
What year now after the program was, I guess, resuscitated?
They were killed in 2014. They were gone for 2 years, and they came back last season.
Wow. So that took 2 seasons for them to put it back together. Actually, this is probably their best season in their program's history, because their program wasn't that old. I think it's because
old, relatively speaking.
I mean, yeah, but I think they this might be their best season in school history. So.
Oh, it is, no question.
Okay, so UAB, congratulations. We'll see you out in Boca. Go Owls. We've got the Orlando's 40,000 bowl games that they're hosting. The AutoNation Cure Bowl, which is being played out in the Citrus Bowl, Camping World Stadium. The Louisiana
Just call it Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns versus the Tulane Green Wave.
Wow, so it's an all Louisiana matchup. Interesting.
So we're gonna have some swamp people coming down to Orlando. Gasparilla Bowl out in Tampa. We've got the USF South Florida Bulls versus Marshall.
Thundering Herd.
Yeah.
And this is literally home field advantage for USF.
Yeah.
Because the game used to be played in Tropicana Field. But starting last season, they moved the game over to Raymond James Stadium.
Home of the Buccaneers.
Which is also where USF, that's their home stadium.
Yeah, and they share with the Bucks. And right. I think the East-West Shrine game is being played out in Tropicana Field anyway. So Tropicana Field is still hosting a postseason game, if you will. An all-star game. So I don't know why Tropicana Field, out of all places, is hosting that game, but
it's probably cheaper. That would be my guess.
I'm sure the Rays are just like, we'll roll out the red carpet for you. Just don't step into the sewage. The Camping World Bowl being played out at the Citrus Bowl. Syracuse, with their good season, is facing off against the Mountaineers, West Virginia. So
there are quite a few people that are disappointed in that bowl matchup. The reason why, yes, a Flimicon, I don't get tired of that either. Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
There is a huge rivalry between West Virginia and Pitt. They used to be in the same conference in the Big East until they defected into the Big 12 for West Virginia and the ACC for Pittsburgh.
Right.
Even still, in spite of the fact they haven't played each other for a while, they are still incredibly tense rivals, and they take every opportunity to make fun of them, to whatever. And there's a saying from West Virginia fans that I can't repeat verbatim, but it's eat blank Pitt.
It rhymes.
And it rhymes. I'll let you fill in the blanks there.
I'm sure it rhymes with the word spit.
Exactly.
I don't know. That works too. Eat, spit, pit, and it has
eat, spit, pit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
That's the PG version. That's the G version of the saying.
Okay. So, all right. So that's the Camping World Bowl. You got the Gator Bowl out in Jacksonville. Jimbo Fisher's back in Florida, baby. He's Texas A&M versus NC State. Go NC State. Do it for the ACC. Lose, Jimbo, lose. Nah, whatever, man. I'm over it already. Most Florida State fans are not over it, but I'm over it. Okay. And he's playing out in the Gator Bowl, which is weird. The Outback Bowl, another one of the 40 games that Tampa is hosting. My brother-in-law's alma mater, the Mississippi State Bulldogs versus the Iowa Hawkeyes. He won't be going to the game. I asked him if he was. He's not, actually, because my sister and him are taking the kids to visit his folks out in Arkansas. So they'll be, unfortunately, missing that game out in Raymond James Stadium. Then
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious. The Mississippi State is famous or infamous, depending on who you ask. They bring cowbells.
Yeah. You know, it's their thing. No, my brother-in-law has his cowbells. And
so I'm curious to see if the Outback Bowl will let them go in there with their cowbells.
Why? Is there a thing against cowbells out there?
Generally speaking, it is noisemakers are disallowed.
Okay. Well, Here's a way around it. You use your cell phone, and I don't know, they could make a cowbell app, okay? And every time they could just they press it and put their volume at a high volume. What are they gonna do then? Okay. So that works. There's a way around it. So Mississippi State fans, put up a cowbell video on YouTube, and yeah, you have your cowbells there. All right. You've got the actual Citrus Bowl game played at the Citrus Bowl. I always get mixed up. Yeah, Nittany Lions, Penn State versus the Kentucky Wildcats, who actually had a good football season for once.
And then they just completely collapsed.
I think they realized that they were a basketball school after a while. Mm-hmm. Then finally, the greatest bowl game of all, the Hyundai Sun Bowl, out in good old El Paso, Texas.
I swear, I think you're going to move there at some point.
El Paso, Texas, which is the greatest city in all of the United States, is going to welcome the good folks of Pittsburgh as the Panthers face off against the Stanford Cardinal. Have a good time, guys. Go visit the military museum they got out there. It's really nice. Have some tacos. They got some good tacos out there. Check out the military base that they got over there. There'll be a bunch of planes flying around. You'll really enjoy El Paso. The climate's going to be great. Hyundai is the sponsor. Hyundai is the greatest manufacturer of cars in the world. For sponsoring
Save that
the Sun
for
Bowl.
your non-sponsor segment.
Well, no, talk about Toyota.
And then. Yeah, so enjoy the Sun Bowl. The trophy's going to be awesome. You guys are going to love the trophy. It's a beautiful trophy. El Paso, Texas. Give them a good show and enjoy it. So those are the bowl games that I ran down. I don't know if you guys have any bowl games that you guys are looking forward to outside of the playoff.
I mean, I'll be watching the UM game just to be like, all right, what's going to happen here with Rick and the pressure and see if he breaks a little bit. But they're all going to be good. The problem is with like bowl games aren't the main ones for me is that unless it's a team that I'm following completely like the U, I'm just going to enjoy most of it because some of the games are really bad. Some of them are blowouts and some of them are really competitive. You get to see guys on a public spotlight that you haven't seen before. So I can tell you for me, I'm going to be looking at the TV. It's like, all right, we're going to watch this day. So each one will kind of get a viewing from me. It's good entertainment. It's good to get those.
It's good background noise.
It's good background noise to get work done. But it's just there's something about the kids putting out there knowing that this is their opportunity for the school spirit and also for the opportunity to kind of get noticed on a professional level. And you end up remembering some names, that really kind of pop out. So when you see them, how it translates to the combine and, what their performance are, it's just good entertainment. You get some good feel-good stories out there. I'm looking forward to it, to all of it.
For me, well, obviously, UCF in the Fiesta Bowl against the Tigers of LSU. I'm obviously watching that one. I am setting aside an entire day to watch that one and either to cheer wonderfully or to weep. We'll see how that goes. And hey, it's on a bummer. Peach Bowl. I went to Chick-fil-A afterwards, so I don't know. I'll play my PlayStation.
Okay.
Once it's over, because PlayStation is now the sponsor. It's no longer Tostitos.
Okay, so I saw a tweet.
Mikey wants us to cover the Orange Bowl, and I guess since we're
we're gonna move to the college football playoff because but I just want to make this last comment. I saw a tweet of a picture of Squidward looking out of his window, and you see Patrick and SpongeBob. It was a meme, and you see like all the logos of the Florida schools that are in bowl games: UF, UCF, Miami, and then Squidward is Florida State. Just looking out at everyone having fun. FIU as well is out there. So that's me.
Of the 7 FBS teams in Florida, FSU and FAU, 2 of your alma maters, are the only ones that are not bowl eligible this year.
1 for 3 though. I'm 1 for 3. So I'll be I might look at the Bahamas Bowl. I could have it while I'm at work when it's on, because it's on a Friday
Yeah, I
during the day.
forgot to mention that FIU is playing Toledo in the Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh, and one more thing. If Flimicon wanted us to cover the Holiday Bowl, that one is between Northwestern and Utah.
Northwestern. Freaking
Northwestern had an
Chicago.
okay year. They had an 8-5 year. They were
competitive throughout the year.
Yeah, they were the West Division champion in the Big Ten, and
they just got blown out against Ohio last.
They kept it close for a little bit.
Yeah, but then the rails kind of fell off.
Right.
But they forced Urban Meyer to retire, so
he couldn't deal with the pressure.
He couldn't deal with the pressure.
That's your football program. We make Urban quit because he knew not to meet us again.
Although here is a fun fact I learned today on our CFB. Turns out that the last game that I think it was 5 OSU coaches played against Purdue, they all lost.
Ooh. That's interesting.
Or I think it was either the game that Urban retire. It was either the last game they played against them, period, or the last time they played them at Purdue. But either way, that's kind of that's more. I don't know, but that's an interesting fact.
So losing to Purdue is a bad omen for Ohio State coaches. So I'm sure there's a lot of Big Ten fans that are just like, all right, Purdue, get your program up and beat Ohio State every year to keep them in misery. All right, so those are the non-playoff bowl games. So let's move on to the actual playoff itself. We got our thing set. We've got the Orange Bowl. So you guys, and then we've got, what's the other bowl? That's hosting the Cotton Bowl. The Cotton Bowl, right?
Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, the Cotton Bowl. Are set. Alabama's gonna win, right?
I think it depends.
I hope not.
Tua had the ankle surgery done. I mean, Jalen Hurts may or may not be able to be the guy to get there. He's experienced. He's played the playoff games. Really, he was only replaced last year because Nick pulled a Nick, and he was like, all right, I'm going to Saban up a little bit and add some flavor and see where it takes us. And it worked to his benefit. But, I mean, it really comes down to Bama isn't as, to me, that of imposing a presence. I've said it throughout the season that it feels that they're just getting kind of the easy matchups. And then, of course, they go against Georgia and then, make an excellent come-from-behind victory. But I feel they don't have the same aggressive running. Their defense, seem a little bit lax in that match against Georgia. And I think sometimes it just comes down to what's your scheme, but also are your guys burnt out? Are they tired? Did you keep them in too long from playing these blowout games that you're winning 60-3 against these low-level programs? But Oklahoma, don't sleep on them. I mean, Kyler Murray is your presumed Heisman winner. They're fast, they're agile, they're twitchy on defense. And what that Georgia game showed was that if they can break the line and get to your quarterback, you're not going to have those big-name guys like Amari Cooper. I know it's a couple years out, but that's the most recent I could think of as a wide receiver for Bama to really just kind of, save you. And really, if it doesn't work there, it'll definitely be something that Clemson will see, because that's who I'm going to presume wins the Cotton Bowl. But I might be a little bit too ahead here. But it'll be a good matchup. I think I'm glad that Oklahoma's in it as opposed to Ohio State and even Georgia. I think some people want that rematch, but if we're going to say this for the SEC championship, I don't want a rematch between them at any point in the CFP in the finals.
Mm-hmm. Heisman, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey, in spite of the fact that he goes to school in California, is an OU fan.
Oh yeah, that's right. So he's especially excited right now.
Exactly. My take on it is going to be defense will not exist in this game. It will not. You might as well just take those 11 guys off the field. Because OU's defense sucks. But their offense
is that putting it lightly?
I mean, let me pull up. Let's see, here we go. When they played, okay, here we go. They gave up 45 points to Texas. No, they gave up 48 points to Texas. Hey, they're trying their best. They're getting better too. Sure. They gave up 48 points to Texas in the Red River rivalry, the regular season edition. They gave up 46 points to Texas Tech. They gave up 47 points to Oklahoma State. They gave up 40 points to Kansas, and they gave up 56 points to West Virginia. And these are, nothing against those teams, but they are not Alabama. Alabama is going to do insane things. It just is. And then, as you mentioned, Charles, that Alabama is looking a little bit kind of... So I'm expecting to see a lot of points.
But to chime in real quickly, do you feel that Jalen Hurts is the guy who can measure and match up to Kyler Murray if they're going into a shootout? Because with Tua, I would say, of course, because that's been how they've played all year. I mean, Jalen's got some legs, he's got a little bit of accuracy, but I don't think that offense is built to be, air raid offense, with Jalen behind the center.
I mean, like you mentioned, Jalen Hurts was the guy all of last season. He played the entire season with the exception of the second half of the national championship game. And Tua just took over. And look what he did in the SEC championship. He stepped in there like he hadn't been away for a second. So I think he's going to have a decent shot. I think he's going to do a great job at bringing them, giving them a good shot in the game.
All right. Okay, so now the other game. With regards to Notre Dame, it's a question I kind of wanted to pose to you guys because I heard a lot of people talk about it. Obviously, Notre Dame is independent. Do you guys find it fair that Notre Dame doesn't play a conference final and yet still makes the college football playoff?
If it was start with that one, Charles?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm going to come in a little bit biased because as Andrew, Francisco, and I had talked about in the prior weeks, I always felt that, the best team should get a chance and opportunity. And I think having a conference title, playing a conference title game matters. Notre Dame's weird because if memory serves correctly, they play for the ACC in everything but football.
Right.
And
right.
I understand. I won't go into the politics of that for a second, but the level of competition might be different. But however, they can be competitive, and if they're competitive against Clemson, because here's the difference. I don't think any of us really, except if you're a Notre Dame fan and you're an unrealistic Notre Dame fan, no one really believes that they're going to win in Clemson. I think they might play it tight, and then it just pulls away, kind of how Ohio State beat out Northwestern last week. Sure, you have an opportunity with that, but if it comes to fairness, no, I don't think it's fair, but it's the program. It's Notre Dame. If it's anybody else, if it's UAB going undefeated, making it, they're not going to be popping there. So I think there's some politics at play behind. Notre Dame is a factory of fantastic college football players, above average college football players. And I think that's something that the CFB is going to be looking at. Because here's the thing, you slip up and you have a good season next year that's similar to what you have now, they're going to remember it when they're putting people in there. So don't be surprised if you get the 11-1 team taking your spot. Don't be surprised if you get the 10-2 team. I was very shocked that Georgia and Ohio State were not considered to take their spot at number 3, to be honest with you. I think having that title game matters a lot, but yet, what are you going to do? Force Notre Dame to join when they actually produce results? and basically marketing, merchandise, and also fan base?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the playoff itself, and it's one of the issues that we had, and we talked about it last week. I don't want to get too deep into what can be changed with the college football playoff. I think we all believe that expanding it to one more round is a lot better. But I kind of, because I see Mikey put up a point that they do play the ACC, so their schedule is, I guess, would say relatively similar in as far as strength of schedule is concerned. So I don't have too much of an issue with Notre Dame in it. It would be nice if they actually had to play for their lives with one more game, but let's say if they were in the ACC itself, imagine they would have had to play an actual final against Clemson, which is essentially happening right now. So we're getting it, but you know, it would be interesting if they actually had to play for their lives in that sense. But until we have another round of playoffs, I think this is fine with Notre Dame. I think they've played a strong enough schedule. I think they've got the talent to actually be up there. They've been up there for the entire season anyways. So I don't see them as an undeserving third seed.
Yeah. Really quick to chime in. It's not like you're having an 8-5 team make it number 3. It's there. It's just there might have been better teams who have lost 1 or 2 games that should have been there. That's my thought on that.
Yeah. Okay. Any more thoughts on playoff? I'm thinking Bama and Clemson again.
Yeah.
Another retread, huh, Andrew?
It's getting boring. It really is.
Well,
it's been the same. These teams have matched up. If that happens,
third time in 4 years.
3 times in 3 years.
4 years. But still,
but does it create a necessary rivalry, a new rivalry that you kind of want? Because Dabo Swinney is going to be there for a while. Clemson, Nick's going to be there until he doesn't want to be there anymore. Is this something that we need to create new rivalries instead of doing the typical Ohio State versus Michigan rivalry? UM versus FSU. It could be exciting only if Clemson wins this round, right?
Yeah,
that is true. However, the key to a really good rivalry is constant repetition. And, like, for example, to bring up your FSU-UM example, they play each other every year.
Yeah.
UF and FSU play each other every year. UCF and USF play each other every year. I could go on. There's no guarantee that Alabama and Clemson would play each other every year. And even if they did, it would only pretty much be in the playoffs unless they decided to start scheduling each other out of conference. And kind of in the same way that the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors have played each other for 3 straight years in the NBA Finals, it just makes everything boring. There's no.
I mean, it's kind of harping what Mikey's making a point of. And it's what was it? Somebody who said that, Colin Coward or something like that. Somebody said that. People love dynasties. People love watching them. People love as much as they hate. As much as people say, "Oh, I hate seeing such a dominant team all the time," we still gravitate towards them. We still gravitate towards the Warriors. We still gravitate towards those Bulls. We gravitate towards Alabama. We gravitate towards the Yankees. I mean, it's those monolithic teams that we all enjoy that rise where it's just like, wow, you're just in awe of how dominating they are. And then we also are at the same time hoping to see that downfall, because the downfall is, I think, a lot juicier when it happens. I mean,
we all wanted Bama to lose last year.
Yeah, I mean, it would have if they had lost. It's just like the Patriots. The Patriots lost to the Eagles, and the way they lost, that was more satisfying to me than seeing any other team in that Super Bowl. outside of the Dolphins, but that'll never happen in my lifetime. Or
I don't know.
You know.
I mean, and I don't know. I just personally, I'm just getting tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if UCF were in this position and they were ending up playing the same team over and over, I'd be fine with it just because we're in the playoff. But I don't know. I just think that it's kind of boring because ultimately no one else is really getting a shot here.
And that's the
hope.
hope.
You see where I'm going with?
Yeah, no, and that's the hope for expanding the playoff to another round. Because at the very least, then, Alabama would have to go through another team just to get to
Georgia.
the end. Actually work hard for it. Or work harder for it. Not that they don't work hard. Okay, but I think that's a good wrap-up of the playoff and all of college football at the end. So everybody enjoy the Sun Bowl. Watch the Sun Bowl. It's beautiful El Paso. You'll love it. That's the most important game that's coming up. All right, so I kind of want to take a little break. We got some current games happening right now. The Heat and the Panthers are playing down here locally. We've got the Florida rivalry between the Heat and the Magic. And the Panthers are facing the very annoying Boston Bruins today. Alexander Barkov got kneed in the face by Dwayne Wade. So I'm hoping Dwayne Wade's greatness transferred through Barkov and to the Panthers. So maybe they'll be an awesome franchise. But the game is 0-0 right now after the end of during the first intermission right now. Let's see. Do you guys have any? Let's take a word from our non-sponsors. Do you guys have anything that you guys are enjoying, loving, anything like that?
I got something I'll start out first, and I think Francisco would appreciate me. I want to give a shout out for our non-sponsor sponsor to Luden's Cough Drops. They taste good. I talk a lot for a living. I talk too much for my own good, so my throat gets a little dry and hoarse and painful. I take a Luden's. It is not like having a Vicks nasty cough drop where you get that nasty weird mint, but it tastes like ethanol taste in your mouth. This one, nice little strawberry flavoring, dissolves properly. Francisco, I advise you from my non-sponsor sponsor to get it. It's good. It's like $5 a bag. I eat them like they're candy. It's probably going to be the best investment I made this week. Promo code for, of course, is Ouchies, Ouchies. Get yourself some Ludens.
Okay. Andrew, you got one.
Yep, I'm going to go with Sam's Club.
Ooh.
For our college students out there, they have cheap memberships. And it's worth it for the pizza. It's just worth it for the pizza. The pizza is amazing. They also have good ice cream, but you can also buy a lot of things in bulk. You can get... Generally, things are just cheaper there. It may be more that you have to pay initially, but per unit price, it's a lot cheaper. So my turkey-loving self, because I put a lot of turkey on my salads and stuff, I get a lot of turkey from there, cheese... you name it, they probably have it. Plus, they have a lot of good furniture. It's air conditioned, so if it's a hot day out, you can go in and relax in there. So, Sam's Club. That is my non-sponsor of the week.
Any promo code?
I don't know.
I got one. We have air conditioning.
Okay, we have air conditioning.
That's their selling point, actually. All right. My non-sponsor of the week is going to go to a local establishment down here in Miami, Night Owl Cookies. Okay. A cookie company, local down here in South Florida, in Miami. They have these insanely diabetic cookies that I love. I can't have them all the time, but I just did order some for myself because I am sick and I decided to treat myself. because I wanted to feel better. So I bought their Night Owl cookies. It was one flavor was the Ave Maria, which is the cookie. It has the Maria cookie. If you're Latin, you know what they are, the Maria cookies, with the guava frosting on it or icing on top of it. It's fantastic, very delicious. Very, very delicious. They also have the birthday cake cookie, which is a real treat. And then I got, of course, the classic chocolate chip. You can't go wrong with it. It actually has some cream cheese icing on it with Hershey's Kisses all over it, little tiny ones. Very, very good. Very, very destructive to my health and my diet. This is the worst endorsement ever, but you can't have this all the time. But I haven't had this in months. That's why I'm giving a shout out to them. I'll get it every 6 to 8 months. Okay, so I decided I'm sick. I'll get it today. Make myself feel a little better. So Night Owl cookies. If you're down in South Florida, they're on Postmates. They're probably on Uber Eats. If you can't drive all the way to them, I think there's some, I don't know where they are. They're far away. They're probably in either Doral or Sweetwater or something like that. Promo code is diabetes. So those are our...
Now, let's clarify. Is it diabetes or diabetes?
The way that Wilford Brimley says it.
So diabetes.
Yes, there you go. So those are our non-sponsor folks. So let's go back to our normal stuff. The National Basketball Association. I'll start out with this topic. Fred Hoiberg has been fired by the Chicago Bulls. Not surprising. I don't think he ever really made any connection with his players. He had that sort of weird mutiny that with Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler against Rajon Rondo and the young guys out there. The Bulls could never find a footing. They're in the middle of a rebuild. They haven't been able to take advantage of a terrible Eastern Conference despite this. So I guess the Bulls looked at it as like, if Fred Hoiberg can't win with this bad of an Eastern Conference, then we got to let him go. The Bulls have been ravaged by injuries, so that also affects them. So I don't know but maybe there's probably a disconnect with him and the players at this point. He's 3 seasons, I think, already so far, and we might as well just pull the plug and start over.
Yeah, I mean, this is a consequence of trying to hire a coach that is the complete antithesis of the coach that you let go in Tom Thibodeau, who is known for being a winner, a grinder, very demanding of men and young men. And then you get, and I'm not saying Fred Hoiberg is a bad coach. Some guys just don't translate well from college basketball to the big event here, you know? And he was kind of given a little bit of a shorthand. The Chicago Bulls, but his first season, they were barely at 500 with Wade and Jimmy and Rondo, and they got in. Then came the complete blow up. You feel like Bill Paxton kind of had him be a fall guy, but the talent wasn't there. You weren't winning. You weren't motivating guys. You couldn't maximize the potential of the guys you traded for when you got rid of Butler, Chris Dunn, Levine. Lauri Markkanen, I think, is going to be a good player in the making. He's just, injured. It's just a good time to do it. It gives them the opportunity to kind of join a program quickly that will inevitably fire their own coach in the college ranks. But now you get to have a season-long evaluation of management, of the young players that you traded for, see if you trade them away for a big fish, or just to get a proper coach, because there's some rumblings about Alvin Gentry being in a bad spot in New Orleans, which I understand because with that team – you shouldn't be under 500. So if any other firings come in, or you just see potential guys, I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, even you got to look at what's out there now with the coaches who might be at risk of losing their jobs on the professional level. So this is a good interview for them to kind of maximize the talent they have to sell the big name coaches, because that's kind of what you want now, right? You let Thibodeau earn his take as being a great assistant who became a tough coach and won you stuff. couldn't get you to the big game. But the big three was a tough act to beat. And then you have Hoiberg, who just provided. So it's like, hey, but with this talent, you can make us better. Because it's a 2-8 straight sometimes when you have those high-priced, big-name coaches. They don't want to come into nothing unless they want a real challenge. So it was just inevitable. I feel like that's a topic there for me that I always say.
And the funny thing, I'm looking here. There was the Deadspin article for this. The Bulls have their permanent replacement. It's the veteran assistant, Jim Boylan. So it's not interim. He's the head coach.
Are they going? Is it just for the season, or is it going to carry over?
No, it's looking like that. He's the actual permanent replacement. Like he's the guy that they want. But it's funny that they mentioned this. He is not. I'm quote from the article. He is not to be confused with former Bulls interim coach, by the same name, Jim Boylan, but with instead of an A, the current Jim Boylan has an E in his name. Well, this one has an A in his name. Who took over in December of 2007 when the team fired Scott Skiles. So we've got the second Jim Boylan. This odd similarity already makes Jim Boylan more notable than Fred Hoiberg. Is their jab at him. So that's just a funny thing I wanted to bring up. And then there was the mention that a Flimicon put, remember when Bobby Portis punched Nikola Mirotic in the face, the Bulls are the most entertaining franchise ever.
Hey, Michael punched Steve Kerr. It's in the legacy right there. It's in the genes.
Yeah, they looked up at the rafters like, yeah, we're going to do that. Okay, so the Miami Heat ditched their Vice jerseys and have now become the hottest team in the NBA. Just going on, so the Miami Heat have their awesome Vice jerseys, and the last 2 home games, even though they had the court, which is the Vice court, they decided not to wear their Vice jerseys, and they were supposed to, and decided to wear their red alternate uniforms, and they've gone on a 2-game win streak after losing like 6 or 7 games in a row in the Vice jerseys. So I know people don't like to say that, it's not the uniform, but I still think the uniform has some effect on how the players feel on the court or on the field or on the ice.
Now, would you say it's the feel of the uniform itself, or would you say
it's just that players are so superstitious. I mean, after a while, like maybe it did have some sort of psychological effect where they're like, okay, we're not in these awesome as they may be, but in these Vice uniforms, they at least look a little differently. They got that stink of the losses off of them. And I don't know. I think it affects the way people play. But hopefully that works for the Marlins, but that's an aside. But it's still, the Miami Heat are in this weird position that they're in. They're in this NBA that doesn't play to the style or to the... They don't have the personnel to play the style that the NBA is going to, this run and guns type of stuff. They have all these big men, which the big men are no longer a hot commodity in the NBA. The Heat have 3 big men, Bam Adebayo, Kelly Olynyk, Hassan Whiteside. They're all perfectly serviceable players, okay? Adebayo has, good potential. Olynyk is a good solid player, and Hassan Whiteside is a rebound and shot blocking machine. Okay, but they're just not going to be the centerpiece of an offense in this NBA that's run and gun, shoot. The Heat just don't have the personnel for it, and they don't have a team that can dictate the pace of a game. That's the struggle that they have right now. They have to play to the style of the team that they're facing. They did it pretty okay with the Utah Jazz, even though they barely hung on to that game. They did it okay with the New Orleans Pelicans, the same thing. They're just hanging on for dear life with what they've got. And the Heat are just going to be that team, the team that's going to hang on for dear life and hope beyond all hope that they can hold it together and maybe catch a good team on a bad night and kind of at least be toe-to-toe with their lesser foes in the Eastern Conference and and make the playoffs. And even though I am on Team Tank, there's still a part of me, because the end of that Jazz game with Dwayne Wade flying into Alexander Barkov's face, there's still a part of me that just wants to see him win and have one last playoff series. So I'm kind of torn between the two, of tanking and getting the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference and at least having 4 more games for Dwayne Wade to go out on. Because even Kobe didn't have that. So
I'll chime in real quickly on that one. I think we talked about last week, and it's going to be a recurring theme throughout the season for the Heat. They're too good to be bad, but too bad to be good. That's where we get the milling, and that's where the victories come in. I think what happens is they're just gelling at the right time. I'll miss the Vice jerseys because of how cool they look, but hey, get behind whatever momentum you need to win, because it's a very winnable 8th, 7th, or 6th seed. No one's really standing out in the bottom of the 6 through 8 for either conferences, to be honest with you, that scream that the Heat can't do it. And we're a quarter of the way done. By like January, midway January, you'll probably get an idea if it's over or not, or it's over, or, we can continue. But there's still a chance, and you're right. You want to let Wade, who has done everything for you, get a chance to have that perfect swan song, because the guy took the veterans minimum. He's still being the face of the franchise. He's being humble. He's teaching the guys, play hard for your dude. Just as you play hard for Spoelstra, play hard for Wade, because that guy is basically acting as, he's acting as your secondary coach to help you learn. Same way, Haslam's just in there advising guys to develop. Wade's doing it too. He's just in more of a spotlight. And look, if you can't make it to the playoffs and you're in that last game, even though Wade should be shooting 50 shots a game, let him go out like Kobe. I don't care, because it's going to be the last time we see somebody who's a surefire Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, for the Heat, you mean?
Yeah, for the Heat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say, there are a lot of surefire Hall of Famers.
No, I mean just for your legacy. Let him have that Kobe moment if you're not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Going into the future.
Sorry that I've been all quiet and everything. It's just I barely follow the NBA.
That's fine, dude. That's we have our things. Kind of like how I held back on the college football talk, because I'm, outside of FSU, which I don't really follow like a hardcore. I'm not watching every single game, but we all have our wheelhouses there. Okay, so I think that's enough for the NBA. Nothing really too big to harp on at this point. We're still a little, maybe a third of the way into both NHL and NBA season. Nothing super interesting is still happening. I mean, outside of, let's say, the Buffalo Sabres still being awesome. Panthers are winning 1-0 right now against Boston, so that's good. Let's move on to actually more of a personal note. I wanted to talk to you guys more a topic that I suggested last time, and we're finally going to get to it. The sporting event that made you the most angry as a sports fan, whether it was a game you watched in person or on TV, where you just lost it emotionally and you still remember it to this day.
Let you guys go first.
I know Charles mentioned his.
All right. Well, I'll lead the way then. For anybody who is a Yankees fan or follows the Yankees, you already know where we're going. That 2004 American League Championship Series against the Red Sox, we were up 3-0. Then they come back, and we lose the series 4-3. It was just cataclysmic. You're just watching there. I was about 14 at the time, and I'm just sitting there screaming, what the hell is going on? You felt defeated. You felt hurt, especially since the prior year, Aaron Boone, who is our manager now, belted a home run the prior year to lead us to the World Series. So you felt that history was in the making, or not in the making, but it was repeating itself. And then all of a sudden, Tito is basically saying, hey, I'm Terry Francona. You came to the wrong place. Kurt Schilling was just amazing that game. Johnny Damon was just kind of saying, we're not going to give up. And as a fan, it hurts because you should win. You had it in the bag, and it goes to show that sports is unpredictable. There was words said that I cannot utter on air But I was a very angry 14-year-old, prepubescent or pubescent boy going off, and it was just the PTSD still hits me now.
And you guys kind of unleashed a really terrible beast in the Boston sports fan. As much as the Yankees fans are annoying, since the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, it has been a never-ending run of Boston sports fans just having it all those Super Bowls, now all these World Series championships, and the icing on the cake, they got a Stanley Cup and an NBA championship, and all their teams are good right now. It sucks. Especially down here, a South Florida sports fan, we are in the gutter right now for almost all of our franchises, and our best hope are the Miami Dolphins, and that is really sad. But yeah, you guys unleashed the beast. As much it was nice to see them end their 86-year curse, especially against the Yankees, I don't know if it was worth it.
I mean, they just kind of followed the methods that we did through those years, and they had the guys. It's not as if they came out of nowhere.
Where were you at the time? I mean, how angry were you?
I was at home. I was watching Fox Sports. There's always a superstition in sports, and every time it was a Yankee playoff game and my mother was around, something bad would happen. I remember when we got eliminated by the Angels in 2003, I believe.
2002.
In the playoffs. 2002, thank you. Yeah, against them, and she was around, so I'm like blaming her. She's like, "Grow up! I don't know what you're crying about." But I just remember Vlad Guerrero just killing us in that series.
But I was that was 2006. Probably.
2006,
or 5,
yeah,
one of those years. Yeah,
there was something, and then we got a revenge the year we went to the World Series and won in 2009. But I was at home, we're watching it, and it was literally that close-up that you get on ESPN when you see on the bleachers and whatnot, with the person's hands are in their head or the head's in their hands. That was me, with my baseball cap on and everything. And then I didn't do the thing of the rally cap where I reverse it, but I'm just sitting there like, what is this? Because I had a friend, one of my best friends is a Boston Red Sox fan, and the crap talk that I delivered to him those first 3 games of the series came back in the worst ways. That series made me believe in karma, and to that day, I won't ever talk smack. I'll just leave it be.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Gosh. Okay. So mine was, I guess. It's fairly unnotable game. It was and this is when I knew I was a hockey fan. The 2011-2012 season, the Panthers hadn't made the playoffs in 10 years, which is the longest drought.
I think I know where this is going.
The longest drought in NHL history, and this is a franchise that's already has a lot of bad stuff happening to them already, and it was my first season as a hockey fan, okay? And I was just following the team. I was starting to learn about the team. I didn't know it would eventually lead me into getting actual NHL press passes and things like that, which is weird. But it was the Panthers were clinging on for dear life to their Southeast Division lead, and it was the fact that the Winnipeg Jets, the Washington Capitals, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were all just so mediocre that season that the Panthers were by default the best team, but they were the best team just by default. They were clinging on for dear life, and it was a high-profile game, probably the third or fourth last game of the season against the Winnipeg Jets. I went with my sister. I wanted to see it because it was basically if the Panthers had won, they would have clinched their playoff spot. And the Panthers were winning, I think about like 4-1, and then 4-2 after like the second period. Then the third period, they were like midway through the third. Winnipeg gets their third goal, and then they tie the game. And I was just livid in the stands. Like, I just couldn't believe that they came back. The Panthers were so close. The Panthers got into overtime. They got 1 point. So now they're 1 point away from clinching their playoff spot. And the Winnipeg Jets win in overtime. And I couldn't believe it. I was so angry. My sister had to pick up now her husband from the Fort Lauderdale airport afterwards. I'm sitting in the car and I am fuming. I'm like, I can't believe they didn't win that game. All they had to do was do this. They had to do that. They had to like. And my sister's like, you gotta calm down. And I'm like, I can't calm down. I was so angry in the car the whole ride over. And the Panthers backed themselves into the playoffs that season. They got in through a loss. I think the Detroit Red Wings beat somebody, and then they won their playoff spot afterwards through those means. And then they won their division the night afterwards with an actual victory. But it was kind of an anticlimactic way to back into the playoffs. But that game, I was so angry and so fuming, and I knew I was a hockey fan after that. But that was the most angry that I was in person. On TV, probably the 2014 NBA Finals between the air conditioning game when it broke in San Antonio. Another reason why I hate San Antonio. That's another thing. I hate San Antonio, but I love El Paso in Texas. Unlike Sam's Club, San Antonio, Texas does not have air conditioning. But that's what that game, that air conditioning. If the AC had worked, the Heat I believe they would have won that game. I believe they would have won that game, and they would have changed the face of the series. It might have changed the face of the NBA. Maybe LeBron stays in Miami. I don't know, or at the very least, he goes out on a three-peat, and we're all good and happy. So that was the other game in person. Or on TV that I remember. Andrew, you're up.
Well, first I want to say I'm surprised that the final game of the Panthers-Islanders series a couple years ago.
When Trocheck was tripped? Yeah, I'm kind of over it, but I was just saying what was in person, but
gotcha.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not usually an angry sports fan. I'm really not. So I don't really have an angry sports moment per se. I usually have more of supreme disappointment.
Okay, what was the most supremely disappointed you were?
There are a few of them. One was back in, I want to say 2012, UCF was playing Mizzou, and we had an opportunity to take a lead or close the score a bit, but there was just terrible clock management by George O'Leary, which ultimately hurt us and ultimately led us to losing the game. Let's see what else.
I'm reading Mikey's comments. Browns Raiders this year made me genuinely pissed off for the whole day. And then the 2015 NCAA Hockey Championship led me to flip over my laptop by Mr. Canada. Okay.
Be you, Mr. Canada.
Oh,
if it is who I think it.
Yeah.
If it is who I think it is, he's a fan of Boston University Terriers.
Oh, you know what really made me pissed off? The was it the 2014 Olympic hockey final, the US with the women's hockey final, when Team USA blew the lead and lost to Canada. That really pissed me off. I was in my USA hockey jersey and everything. I was like, go, and then they lost in overtime. To Canada of all teams. Okay, this is the thing. I've been to Canada, and Canadians are not, when it comes to hockey, they are complete a-holes, okay? So they're polite for everything else in the world, but when it comes to hockey, it's the one thing they're really, really rude about. Which is why I hate the Winnipeg Jets, but that's another thing.
Let me see if I can pull out another one from the bag.
So I can just imagine little Charles looking at Dave Roberts steal that base, and then David Ortiz smacking that home run.
Dude, I mean, it's always something, and it was so weird because maybe I've grown up and matured, but this year when they met in the playoffs, I was like, I already know what's happening. Whatever. I was the one objective fanboy who was like, listen, we're going to get to the playoffs and we're not going to beat the Red Sox. Call it a day. I'm just happy to be here. My blood pressure can't go up because of what happened in 2004.
So you weren't screaming to trade Giancarlo Stanton?
I was, yeah. I'm a hypocrite. What can I say?
Yeah,
there was moments where I'm just watching him swing. I'm like, so that's what Francisco was always talking about.
Yeah. It's his first playoff series, even though he did come up big in pressure on the World Baseball Classic the last time. But Andrew, do you have one more supremely disappointing or really pissed off moment that you were looking up, or nah? I love your long, exasperated sighs.
It's not exasperating. I'm honestly trying to think, but like I said, it's
you don't really get pissed off during sports games,
right? I either get supremely happy or
really sad.
Crap, this sucks.
Okay.
If I think of anything, I'll come back to it.
Yeah, sure. We can always come back to it.
You have another 30 minutes or so.
Speaking of, well, actually, no, I didn't want to go that. Supreme disappointment. Let's go to the Miami. The Miami.
I just thought of one.
Okay, we're gonna go back. Okay. What is it?
The 2010 gold medal game. U.S.
Oh, you were really pissed off at that one? I mean, I always thought it was one of the greatest games ever, but the golden goal.
Well, not pissed off, but supreme disappointment.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't get pissed off, but that one hurt quite a bit.
You gave him a stern talking to.
Well, I mean, Team USA came back from that game, but then Sidney Crosby put it away, of all people. But okay, I can see that. That game was actually one of the things that pushed me into hockey. But sorry, Andrew.
Really?
Yeah.
And I guess the entire 2015 UCF season.
Yeah, that was just long. No, oh boy. All right, so going on to extreme disappointment. The Miami Dolphins are terrible. This is our weekly segment of how terrible the Dolphins are. Despite the fact that they won their game. But I think they barely won their game against the Buffalo Bills, actually. Had, Charles Clay actually caught the ball, they would have lost. Allen actually, that was his coming out party with that last drive against the Dolphins. Had Clay caught the ball, it would have been probably the christening of Allen for the Bills. But still, it's funny listening to sports radio today and yesterday. Nobody's really happy that the Dolphins won. They're 6-6. They're one game behind for that second wild card spot, and yet there's still no hope that they're gonna actually get it. And if they do, all right, we're just going to go to the wild card game and get our butts handed to us. So, once again, what's the point? I'm on Team Tank, obviously. And funny thing is that if the season ended right now, the Dolphins would have the 15th pick in the draft. So, and if they lose out, they could go for me, I think as low as the 5th pick. I see the 5th pick as more valuable. And I see a 5th pick and losing out from here on, having a 6-10 season as more valuable than an 8-8 season and or a first round wild card loss. Once again, the Dolphins are terrible, but they did do one thing right, and that is they wore their throwback uniforms. So they looked really good, disappointingly winning that game. So kudos on the Dolphins for that. They should. Another thing that they do terrible is that they haven't switched to those uniforms permanently. They have to.
Yes.
I think we're all in agreement with that, right?
Yeah. Gotta be festive.
Yeah, I mean they're
Those uniforms are just so much better than what they've got now.
I know.
It's not even funny.
Yeah, no, it is by and away. Like every single fan wants them to move to that permanently. It's not even close. So the Dolphins are terrible. I texted Doug during the game. I see here on the messenger. I'm hoping that maybe Doug will pop in for like a second and be like, "Hey guys," and then just pop out. But we did text each other for a little bit during that game. But I don't know if I have anything of note other than that. He did make one comment at the end. The Bills just build the game. So that's another verb. And I said it's one of the few things that it's worse than dolphining.
Well, the Dolphins almost dolphined the game.
Yeah, they almost dolphined, but it's not as bad as billing. So,
But imagine that, the guy that you let go from you, Charles Clay, actually catches that ball.
Oh, that would have been so dolphin.
Yeah, it just would have hit you.
With Jordan Phillips, being able to trash talk even more. Because that was also the Jordan Phillips game where one of the few games he's actually motivated to play, which was his issue in Miami. He was always pretty lazy as a player, and he still is. All right, so yeah, the Dolphins are terrible. We're kind of winding things down here. We got probably 19 minutes left on this stream. We usually go for 2 hours. So I'm going to push ourselves into this segment here. Alrighty. So is that the right one? Got that. Yeah, the players we remember to forget or players we forgot to remember, which is where we kind of go down the rabbit hole of past sports players from all the leagues and all places and find out what they're doing and what their careers were like. I don't know if you guys have one, but I do have one myself.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so my player is Mike Kingery, a former Major League Baseball player. He was primarily an outfielder from a stint from 1986 to 1992. And then 1994 to 1996, he played for the Kansas City Royals, the Seattle Mariners, the San Francisco Giants, the Oakland A's, the Colorado Rockies, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. I just picked them randomly out of a hat. And the thing that he hit 268 was his career batting average. He hit 30 home runs and 219 RBIs. He was a left-handed batter and left-handed thrower. He's from St. James, Minnesota. He's 57 years old right now. There's nothing notable to him at all for his career. I mean, he never played in the playoffs. He played for some pretty insignificant teams. Especially that 96 Pirates team. But the thing that got to me was that his post-playing career is, okay, this guy has 8 children. Okay?
Jeez.
He has 8 children, and they've kind of created this singing troupe of you can hire them. I think they sing mostly bluegrass gospel songs, but it's their entire family, and you can get them to. They have a show. Let me look at their schedule right now. They're actually going to be playing on December 8th a Christmas concert at the Ecumen Oaks and Pines Community area center in Hutchinson, Minnesota, from 2 to 3 p.m. So if you're out there, go watch them. They also play at the Minnesota State Fair. So he's made probably a more significant career out of gospel singing than his Major League Baseball career. So he's out there, he's doing it with his kids, and a couple of his kids are older now and are married, and they're singing too. So Mike Kingery, gospel singer with his family and his 8 children, former player, hit 30 home runs in his career. That's my player I've remembered to forget.
I got a quick one because it's still in the season of football, and I think about the Cowboys now that they got Amari Cooper. So I decided to I decided to kind of look up Roy Williams, who was kind of Jerry Jones's dud of a trade. Roy was part of that receiver class in 2004 for the Matt Millen era that just kept drafting a wide receiver in each of the first rounds. He had his moment in the sun with the Lions. He was productive then in 2000
or with the Cowboys.
2008. He traded with the Cowboys,
Yeah.
and he was traded for a first round, a third rounder, sixth rounder. And then, they sent some compensation, and he got a 6-year, $54 million contract, and it just went nowhere fast. There was really no big gain, no big boon, no big impact. He was consistent, and then eventually he was inconsistent. And then eventually they drafted Dez Bryant, and he was released, and he went to the Chicago Bears on a 1-year deal. He retired in 2012. Looking at per Wikipedia, so our other non-sponsor, I guess.
Yeah.
Right now, he returned home to Odessa, Texas, where he started an oil field trucking company, tapping into the boom going on in West Texas. So that means he's making more money probably than in the future than when he made his entire NFL career. So good for him. That's my player that we forgot
The Beverly Hillbillies of
the NFL.
Wait, where is he from? No, he's from Odessa, Texas. Anyways, okay,
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anybody, Andrew?
I forgot to remember somebody to forget.
You want to come back to it or nah?
Nah, I'll think of someone next week.
Okay, you'll think of someone next week. Okay. Finally,
I will remember to forget somebody next week.
okay. So, all right. Let me. Let's see if this will work. I'm trying to get it to switch. Come on now. All right. So, we're coming down to the wire here. So we're gonna play a new semi-new segment now. Guess that college team name. So, like I said,
This is my favorite thing.
There's about like 80 college basketball games on right now between men's and women's. So obviously you have the big conferences and everything like that, but then you have all those little tiny schools all sprinkled all over this great country of the United States, and so we kind of like to pose the name of the school and then see if we can guess what they are. So I guess I'll look at it.
Usually I'm the one guessing them.
Yeah. So okay. Here's the first one. This is a game that's going on right now. American University, guys. Who is it? What's their nickname?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Revolutionaries.
Yeah, kind of close. I mean,
really?
it is something like patriotic.
Eagles?
There you go. Yeah. American University Eagles winning 84-69. Nice. Against the St. Francis.
Nuns.
I'm going to guess Friars?
Nah, not even close. Think DC superheroes.
The
St.
Batman?
Francis Batmans. Yeah.
No.
We petitioned for them to change their name to become the Batmans now.
Well, it's not the Aquaman, that's for sure. It
The
is.
Flash?
Oh yeah, it's the Red Flash. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Appalachian State.
I know this one, so I'll let you guys guess.
I'm looking at it right now, so I can't.
I kind of want to call them the Apaches, but I don't know if that's just on a gut feeling, but I know I'm wrong. But I'm going to call them the Apaches. It's okay.
Mountaineers.
Mountaineers. There we go.
Okay. Okay, the Howard.
Wait, their name
I should know this.
I think this is
one.
Howard University, but I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Bulldogs?
No. Think more bovine.
I mean, the Bulls?
No, but you're getting close. Still in the bovine category. Just think of big hulking animals.
The Oxens.
No, not an ox.
Obviously, this is I need to improve in this game.
I don't know if our viewers can guess it either, but
should do a prize if they can guess it.
okay.
Anyone want to take a... Well, let's come back to Howard.
Okay, so if anybody guesses Howard, we'll see it on the screen. Okay, okay, but this is easy. Boston College.
The Eagles.
Yeah, they're there you go, Charles. They're winning 71-70 over the Providence.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Providence what?
Friars.
Okay, Providence Fires. There you go. All right, Cincinnati.
Bearcats.
All right, winning 72-54 over the Northern Kentucky. Wow, I didn't even know this school existed.
I only know this.
Oh, and BU Mr. Canada has Howard. It is the Bison.
There you go.
Very good. Dang, I knew that. The only reason I know NKU is because one of my friends from law school went there for undergrad. It's the Norsemen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Northern Kentucky's Norse. There you go. All right, so this is easy. Clemson.
Tigers.
There you go, Charles. I'm giving him the softballs here. 50...
You see a bias there.
Winning 56-56, or no, they're tied 56-56 against the St. Peters.
St. Peters, like Chaz Michaels.
Well, you got the first syllable right with P.
St. Peter Paul.
No, I mean P. P is the first syllable. It is, but you got P. The P something. What is it?
I feel like you're spoon feeding the Pauls. I'm going with it.
Oh no.
Terrible.
I've got nothing. Let's throw that to the audience.
All right, St. Peter's. We'll see if anybody guesses their name. All right, so the Davidson. Feline. Think of feline. If I have to give you a clue. There's lots of felines.
Davidson? Like, I feel like I should know this.
I think Steph Curry went to Davidson.
Yeah.
Ah, that's right. That is right.
That I remember. The team itself, not so much.
Okay.
I was going to say Flyers, but that's Dayton.
No. Yeah, that's which actually was the next team, the next game that I was going to say, but...
I guess I ruined that.
Well, the Dayton Flyers are there, but... Okay, Davidson Blanks are winning 87-75 over the Winthrop. I don't even know where these places are.
Ooh, I don't know Winthrop.
Eagles?
Throw that one.
Oh, he got it. There it is.
What?
Charles got it. He got Eagles. The Winthrop Eagles.
I would have said I think they had something in either NIT or in the something like a couple years back. That's where they came up.
Okay. All right. All right.
Wildcats? BU said it shares a nickname with a certain SEC shooty hoops powerhouse. So I'm going to guess Wildcats?
There you go, dude. There you go. Davidson Wildcats. Okay. The Dayton Flyers 76-50 winning right now over the Detroit. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Well, it's not the Red Wings, and they're beating my Lightning right now, so wah-wah.
I actually wanted the Lightning win that game.
So do I.
The Panthers are winning 4-0 against the Bruins. Whoa, that is good. All right.
What was the team again? Detroit?
Detroit. Think Greek mythology.
The Harrows.
No. Something more common after that. Denzel Washington.
What?
It's a clue. Denzel Washington. Think sports movie with Denzel Washington in it.
Oh,
Jesus.
Titans.
He got game. I'm going on Jesus Shuttles. Whatever you got. Depends on what kind of Denzel movie you like. So
Okay.
Both classes.
So is it Titans?
It is the Titans. All right. Okay. The LaSalle.
Are you sure that's not dinner?
No, no, it's not. But it's the LaSalle. Think Ford SUVs.
The F-150s?
No, SUV. That's not a pickup truck.
Escape?
Nope.
That would be
You're getting
hard.
close.
Mikey, Maine is the Black Bears.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that too.
Actually, they were the next game on the list, so he's actually ahead of me.
My guess is he's watching the scroll right now.
Yeah. Okay, so
LaSalle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no clue.
Okay, I'll leave it open. But the clue is Ford SUV versus the Bucknell, and we've said this before. It's a name we've said before. The Bucknell.
I think it's Bison.
There you go. That is. Yeah, Bison are winning 79-68 versus LaSalle. Okay.
Remember the Maine. Interesting.
Okay, so yeah, Maine Black Bears 52-47 over the Fordham
Rams.
Nice, dude. 52-47. Okay, Holy Cross. We've come to them before.
I was trying to help by the time input you guys finally got it. Do you guys know what LaSalle is?
Yeah. A Ford SUV was the clue.
Ford SUV.
Eventually, by March Madness, we're gonna know all these teams.
Exactly.
So
what was the team this time? No, Bucknell are the
F those a-holes and their Funhouse of Horrors. Okay. Okay. All right, so Fordham, we already said Fordham. Holy Cross, we actually got this before, Andrew, or we actually talked about it before. They're the Crusaders. Okay, Massachusetts, what are they?
You actually, Charles, you were pretty close with one of your guesses earlier.
For which one? For Mass?
Well,
from a private?
Well, a nickname that you used earlier.
For Holy Cross?
Guessed earlier was fairly close to what UMass is.
Oh, Musketeers, Mountaineers, Revolutionaries.
You're close. You're
Revolutionaries is close.
Yeah.
Is it Expedition?
No, it's not the Expedition. You're still close. It is X. It is X something.
The Explorers.
There you go, Explorers. There we are.
And Shin got it.
Shout out to our sponsors, Ford. No. Okay, no. All right, so.
But anyway, right, the Shin got it. The answer is the Minutemen.
Yeah.
That's why you were close when you said Revolutionaries.
All right.
If you said Fallout, I would have gotten in a heartbeat.
I don't play Fallout.
The Fallout Pit Boys. Okay. The Notre Dame. Come on, Charles, you got this.
Fighting Irish.
Yes, the fighting Russell Crows. Okay, versus the Oklahoma. This was almost a college football playoff here.
I said so. We're good.
Okay, Mikey, come on, you got this. The Oklahoma what?
Oh no! I know what's gonna happen.
What?
I'll start it off, I guess.
The Fallout refunds. Topical. Boomer sooner. All right. Okay. Now we're getting to more common names. You know, Indiana, Hoosiers, Penn State, Nittany Lions. Let's get a team that nobody. Okay, Youngstown State.
Penguins.
Okay. All right. The Bradley
Beals.
It's a dog, right?
It starts with a B. That you got close. It starts with a B.
Beagles?
No, it's not a dog. It's I guess something that's not PC anymore.
Oh, right, the Braves.
There you go, dude. There you are. All right. I'm trying to find a really weird one, like a really out of nowhere. Oh, the Campbell. Here's one. Campbell.
Oh, the Camels.
How'd you get that? The Campbell fighting, they're the fighting camels, actually. All right, they're not just they're not just any old camels. They're not docile. They're fighting camels. Okay,
they're fighting camels.
Okay, so you don't want to mess with them.
Exactly.
Okay, let's find some really weird ones.
When you've run college football trivia for 3 years, you pick up on some stuff.
Do they have a college football team?
They might.
In the FCS?
Sure, but you find a lot of, when you're doing research, you find out a lot of this information.
Okay, let's find a really weird one. All these teams have the Centenary.
Centenary?
Yeah, Centenary. Okay.
The Sentinels?
Nope.
That would be fantastic.
Nope.
Yeah.
It would.
Sentinels?
Nope. It has nothing to do with no Senta whatevers. It's really out there. It's not. It's really uncommon.
These guys are horrible.
Oh, they have a flair on RCFB. Oh, good to know. The fighting camels.
Ah, okay. I think this will be the last one of the night. So if you guys can guess this one, Centenary.
Canaries.
That would make sense too, but it just and they're yeah, but no, it's not.
Well, I, as you can tell by my track record in this game, have no clue at all.
Okay, well,
we'll throw this real quick to the audience. Can anyone?
And they do. Okay, they have a flare on there too. But if nobody can guess it, I'll give it out, and then we'll have our closings.
All right, BU, what you got?
10 seconds. 10.
Well, you
9.
have to give it 20 seconds to allow for.
Okay, fine. 20 seconds. Centurion. That would make sense too, but it's just the gentleman. There it is.
Really?
Yeah, the Centenary Gentlemen. Even though we've given them all kinds of names that would make more illiterate sense, they are the gentlemen. So to these gentlemen, thank you for stopping by. This is the end of the 8th episode of Sports Goofs, so I thank you to Andrew and Charles for joining me and for not being near me while I can get them sick.
Ooh, before we go, what's the score in the football game?
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a football game in the background. Let's call a winner here. Let's see. First down, we've got UCF is beating Miami 60-55. Okay.
With how much time
With
left?
7 seconds left. So let's see how this plays out. Okay, in the fourth quarter, UCF has the ball, so I think they should just knee it, right? They're not going to kneel down. They're actually just going to keep running the play. So 4 seconds. Any closing comments, you guys?
It's always fun to goof around with you guys. Watch sports, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, game is over.
All right, UCF, way to go.
So they pulled off the upset. Mark Ritt is definitely getting fired after that. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll try and have another episode next week and some more stuff to talk about. That stuff that you'll see on the screen is for YouTube. Our last episode on the top left. Playlist of our past stuff in the top right. We do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/sportsgoofs, so we can actually afford to not have this computer explode for our next podcast, and then some other random stuff on the bottom right. So take care, everyone. Have a good night.
And before we go, my weekly tradition, a goodbye in another language, Zaijian, which is Chinese.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.